morning. So our nurse walked in this morning and she was like, "You're gonna have an upper GI," which is the same thing as an endoscopy. We were like, "What?" So apparently GI is back on the case and they want to see what happens in my endoscopy. So they woke us up and they were like, "Time to go." So we were like, "What?" The nurse walked in. So anyway, they just transport us here, get ready to go. And we're like, "What?" So I'm not even dressed yet. I'm still in my PJs, which are super comfy. And we're actually like already in the room. So we're in the recovery room that I'm gonna be in when they wake me up. So I'm going to the endoscopy. So I'm back from endoscopy and it went well. They didn't find anything. And the doctor, what did the doctor say?
That they're going to talk to the other doctor and find if there's anything else to do.
They're going to talk to the other doctor to see if there's anything else to do. I'm going to take a nap. So I just watched the video that I made right after I got back to my room after I had my endoscopy. Okay, so when I was filming that, I was thinking in my head, I'm a little tired, but I think I'm acting pretty normal. And like in my head, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be nice. They're not really gonna notice, but I was very wrong. Oh my word, I was so drugged. Oh my gosh, it's funny. That was really funny. So anyway, the details of the endoscopy. So it actually came back perfectly fine. Appears to be perfectly fine. So it went through, everything was nice. My first endoscopy, I had slight gastritis, and I also had some goo in the bottom of my stomach. But this time it was perfectly fine. There was nothing in my stomach, not even a large amount of acid or anything. And so at this hospital that we're at is actually the hospital that one of the most well-known motility doctors work at. Like, this dude invented the gastric pacemaker. And it probably doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is like huge for the people with gastroparesis. So he walks in our room after I woke up from my nap, which was actually, I think it was like a 4-hour nap. It was the best sleep I've had since my last endoscopy. I have really bad problems sleeping. So when I have anesthesia, it's like I'm out. Anyway, so he walks in after the nap was over, and he starts asking me all these questions, and he sits down, he makes himself comfortable, and he just listens to my story. He's like, "You know what this sounds like? It does not sound like gastroparesis." He said, "I have had hundreds and hundreds of patients, like maybe even thousands or whatever. I can't remember the exact number." But he was like, "And you know how many people with gastroparesis are actually hungry?" And I'm always hungry because like I'm not eating, and it's so frustrating, but I'm always hungry. And we were like, all of them? I don't know. And he was like, "None. I've had 0 patients that are hungry." So I'm pretty sure, like maybe you have some digestive issues, but I'm pretty sure you don't have gastroparesis. Which is like, what? So that's kind of interesting. But then what he went on to explain was, so you have your throat, and then you have your esophagus, and then your esophagus have these things called sphincters that open and let the food go from your esophagus into your stomach. And then your stomach has the pylorus that opens and pushes the food from the stomach into the small intestine, which then works the food into the large, and then just exits your body and stuff. So he thinks that my esophagus, he thinks that the sphincters are not working right. He says, even though they look fine on the endoscopy, like what he did was he's like, "Look at my hand. You can look at my hand and you can say, it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with your hand. It's a perfectly healthy hand." But he's like, "But my hand is paralyzed." Like, it's not actually paralyzed. That was like an analogy or whatever. He's like, "It looks fine, but it's not. Something is very wrong with it." And we're like, okay, that makes sense. So he's like, even though your endoscopy looks fine and your sphincters look fine, they probably aren't working, because he's like, this is what it sounds like. And so we have a whole bunch of different tests that we need to do for that, but most of those are outpatient tests. But he's like, but obviously you can't be outpatient right now because you don't have any way to get to have fluids without the IV. And so he's like, so I'm going to see if I can pull some strings and get the tests done inpatient. And there actually is one test that's done inpatient. It's the swallow test, where they're going to look at the way I swallow just to see if my throat is working right, to see if maybe not only are my sphincters not working, but also the muscles that swallow your food, because he's not sure. He's maybe, I don't know, he's not sure. So he just wants to see, because it's a really odd case and it's not very common, but apparently this is really exciting. If the sphincters are broken, that can be a surgery, and that can just be fixed after I recover from the surgery, and I'll be able to eat and be completely fine. But if it's not the sphincters, then most likely it's something in my brain where my brain has wired itself into thinking that I just need to throw up everything. Not like I'm making myself throw up, or not like I'm like, okay, I want to throw up. It's like subconsciously, like when I want to keep food down, my brain is just telling my stomach to vomit. And so what I would have to do is I would have to do psychotherapy to make my brain not want to vomit and to train my brain to keep the food down. And that would take months and months and maybe even like years of therapy just to like not be able to vomit. So like my mom and I are both, like everyone, we're all just hoping that my sphincters are wrong. Like we've never wanted a test to like say body part failed more, because like if the sphincters aren't working, it's a quick fix. I mean, it's not necessarily an easy fix, but it's a surgery, recovery, and then I'll be better. Whereas it would be therapy after therapy after therapy, which I mean, either are necessary for me to eat again. So they're both going to be a hard process, but it would be a faster process if it was the surgery. So we're kind of hoping for that. And it was a huge honor to have like this doctor walk in, and he was not even supposed to be here today because he's like the really high up doctor. Like he's one of the top doctors in America, and he just walks in our room, and mom and I are just like, oh, like at first, so the pharmacist was supposed to come to our room and the pharmacist never came. So he walks in and we're like, oh, are you the pharmacist? And he's like, no, I'm Dr. Cook. And we were like, oh my goodness. Like I was like literally thinking in my head, we're in the presence of a legend. I mean, it was crazy. Like there's this doctor that's like known all around America sitting in my hospital room listening to my story and like trying to help everyone figure it out. It was like, holy cow. So like he was not even supposed to be here. The person who was doing the endoscopies was on vacation with his wife, and he called and extended his vacation. And so the doctor came in and he was like doing all the scopes. And so actually a different doctor was doing my scope, but then he just walked in because they couldn't figure it out, and they went to the doctor and they were asking questions, and he was like, I'll just go check her out myself. And so it was like, holy cow. It was a God thing. It was amazing. So that's our update. So we have that swallow test that we're going to do tomorrow, and we're not sure if the other tests are going to be able to be done inpatient, so we're still not really sure how long we'll be here, but we do know that we have something to go on and that we have an amazing doctor who's now following our case. It's incredible. So we are super hopeful that my sphincters don't work, even though it sounds ridiculous. It would be a lot easier than to have to go through psychotherapy and just, you know, not that we won't if that's not the problem, but it would just be easier. But you know, sometimes it doesn't get to be the easy path, but we're hoping that this time we do kind of get the easy path. So that's about all the updates I have. Actually, I just remember like my pupils were so huge and dilated and they weren't constricting. That was because of the patch that I had behind my ear. So they took the patch off, and it wasn't like instantaneous results, but they took the patch off like right before, it was either right before my endoscopy or right after, before I took my 4-hour nap. So I woke up from my nap and I could already tell a difference. Like, everything is still a little fuzzy, but it is not as bad as it was. And they said it would take 24 hours for all the effects to wear off, but I'm already noticing a difference, and it's really awesome to to be able to see again. So that's nice. And we didn't get to go up onto the roof to see if the bird was still there, but we're pretty sure the bird's not there anymore. And I think that's it. So we are gonna go to bed and let sleep find us, which is gonna be cool because they stopped all my oral medicines because I'm not keeping them down anyway, so there's no reason to be wasting them. And also, something else isn't happening. So I actually won't be woken up except for like twice in the middle of the night instead of like 6 times. So that's pretty awesome. Looking forward to that. So I suppose I shall say goodnight, and I will update you guys tomorrow.